On August 5, 2006, Renee Pagel was found brutally murdered inside her home in Rockford, Michigan. The 41-year-old nurse and mother of three had been recovering from major surgery after donating one of her kidneys to a stranger, the father of one of her nursing students. Still in recovery, Renee was expected to attend a craft fair with her friends that day. When she did not show up, concern quickly grew. Her father, sensing something was wrong, went to check on her. Upon entering the home, he made a chilling discovery. Renee was lying motionless in her bed. Blood covered her body, and there was a gash on her arm, visibly shaken. Her father called 911. My daughter," he told the dispatcher. "We just found her in bed, and she's got a lash on her arm, and, she's all bloody." Detective E.J. Johnson of the Kent County Sheriff's Department arrived quickly. What he found was a scene of extreme violence. Renee had been stabbed more than 50 times. Blood spattered the walls, lamps, and even the ceiling. Detective Johnson recalled seeing Renee lying sideways on the bed with deep lacerations to her arms, head, and face. The coroner would later confirm the presence of numerous defensive wounds, including a stab wound that had pierced directly through her hand. At the time of her murder, Renee's 3 children were staying with their father while she recovered. Their absence spared them from the gruesome scene, but investigators immediately recognized the brutality of the crime as deeply personal. Nothing appeared stolen or disturbed. This was not a random act. It was targeted, calculated, and vicious. The investigation had begun, and with it, the long road to uncovering the truth. Before her tragic death, Renee Pagel was known not for tragedy, but for generosity, faith, and compassion. A devoted mother of 3 and a respected nurse and nursing instructor, Renee dedicated her life to helping others, not only in her professional duties, but also in her personal choices. She was deeply religious, a woman whose values guided her actions, even when life was challenging. In July 2006, just days before she was murdered, Renee made an extraordinary and selfless decision that would come to define her legacy. One of her students, Caitlin Saliot, had taken a strong interest in kidney disease. During their conversations, Renee learned that Caitlin's father, Phil Saliot, was in kidney failure and on a waiting list for a transplant. Though she had never met Phil, Renee volunteered her own kidney to save his life. Phil would later recall how stunned he was by her offer. "I was just dumbfounded someone would want to do that," he said in a 2010 interview. "It really shocked me because here it was a total stranger asking if she could help me." Renee followed through, undergoing the surgery in July, all while managing the stress of a difficult custody battle with her estranged husband, Michael Pagel. She put aside her own struggles to focus on giving someone else a second chance at life. This act of profound generosity shows who Renee truly was, a woman whose compassion touched the lives of those she knew, and even those she did not. As investigators began looking into Renee Pagel's life, it became clear that her marriage to Michael Pagel had been filled with tension and conflict. The couple had been separated for a year and were going through a bitter divorce at the time of Renee's death. Friends and loved ones described the relationship as increasingly strained, with Renee often left to carry the financial burden of the household. She regularly worked 2 or even 3 jobs to provide for the family, while Michael either worked part-time or not at all. This imbalance created mounting frustration. According to Renee's friends, Michael had a pattern of emotional manipulation. Chris Crandall, one of Renee's closest friends, recalled how Michael would gaslight Renee, agreeing to meet her for lunch and then failing to show up, only to later insist she had misunderstood. These small, calculated actions slowly wore down Renee's confidence and stability. The final blow came when Michael served Renee with divorce papers in the middle of her nursing class, a moment her friends viewed as intentionally humiliating. Still, despite the growing hostility between the two, some accounts portrayed Michael in a more complex light. Their daughter, Sarah, remembered her father as a good dad. She spoke about mornings spent together on their farm, feeding horses and bonding over chores. This duality, a seemingly loving father but a deeply embittered husband, added emotional depth to the investigation. It painted a picture of a fractured relationship with underlying anger, bitterness, and control. As investigators began their work at the Pagel residence, the evidence pointed to a targeted, personal attack. not a random burglary. Renee's jewelry box had not been disturbed, and cash was still sitting openly on a dresser. These details ruled out robbery as a motive. Then, outside the home, detectives discovered a crucial piece of evidence, a clean, orange flashlight lying in the backyard. It appeared to have been recently dropped. There was no dirt or weathering on it, suggesting the killer had left it behind during their escape. One of the first people police considered was a male tenant who lived in an apartment above a barn on the Pagel property. But after a thorough interview and a polygraph test, investigators ruled him out. Their focus then shifted to someone much closer, Renee's estranged husband, Michael Pagel. Michael had recently lost a significant legal battle in family court. The judge ordered him to find full-time employment, pay child support, and allow Renee to remain in the family home with their children. According to Renee's friend Joyce Shawner, she returned from that court appearance visibly shaken and said she had never seen Michael so angry in her life. Michael claimed he was home on the night of Renee's murder, hosting a bonfire and a fortnight with the kids. His mother, who was also at the house, initially told police she heard the sliding glass door open and close during the night and assumed it was Michael letting out the dog. However, under subpoena and questioned under oath, she recanted her statement. Michael quickly retained legal counsel and refused to speak further with investigators. During a later search of his home, detectives discovered a hidden hard drive inside a hollowed-out beam. On it were journal entries filled with resentment toward Renee. One chilling line read, "I must terminate with extreme prejudice." Despite these red flags, there was no direct physical evidence connecting Michael to the murder. Without a confession or forensic proof, investigators reached a frustrating standstill. The case remained unsolved and cold for years. For years, Renee Pagel's murder remained unsolved. Despite early suspicions, investigators lacked the evidence needed to bring charges. But while the case went cold, Renee's friends stayed active. They created posters, contacted local media, and launched a Facebook page dedicated to keeping her story alive. One of the most vocal advocates was her friend Chris Crandall, who made it clear she believed Michael Pagel was responsible. The page even referred to him as the only suspect. Their relentless pursuit of justice finally sparked a breakthrough. In an unexpected turn, Michael's brother, Bo Pagel, reached out to Crandall via Facebook. During a recorded phone call, Bo revealed that he no longer trusted Michael. When asked directly whether he believed Michael had killed Renee, Bo responded, "I don't know for certain, but I will tell you this. I would not defend him now." That simple statement was enough to draw renewed attention from investigators. Weeks later, Bo returned with a shocking account. He told detectives that during a hunting trip, 5 years after Renee's death, Michael had confessed to the murder. According to Bo, Michael pulled out a knife, claiming it was a weapon he used to kill Renee, and then tossed it off a bridge into a creek. Bo recalled Michael's chilling words, "This is how I finalized a divorce." Authorities acted swiftly. In 2020, they recovered a knife from the location Bo described. Forensic analysis and supporting details aligned with the timeline of the crime. Additionally, investigators linked Michael to the orange flashlight found at the crime scene. He owned the blue version of the same flashlight, sold as a pair, and both contained batteries from the same manufacturing lot. This new physical evidence, along with Bo's recorded statements and cooperation, finally gave detectives what they had been missing for over a decade: probable cause. Michael Pagel was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife, Renee. The long-dormant case had taken a dramatic turn, one fueled not by luck, but by the unwavering persistence of those who refused to forget Renee's story. Michael Pagel was finally arrested and charged with the murder of his wife, Renee Pagel. For their daughter, Sarah, the arrest was absolutely shocking and emotionally difficult to comprehend. After reviewing the circumstances and consulting with Renee's children, prosecutors offered Michael a plea deal. In exchange for pleading guilty to second-degree murder, he would receive a lighter sentence. Prosecutor Kelly Conkey emphasized that the plea was made solely to spare Renee's children from further trauma. During the plea hearing, Michael attempted to shift the blame. He confessed to wanting Renee dead, but claimed that it was actually his brother Bo who had committed the murder for a payment of $100,000. Investigators found no evidence to support this claim and believe it was a final effort to escape full accountability. Despite his attempt to deflect responsibility, Michael was convicted. In 2020, a judge sentenced him to 25 to 50 years in prison, meaning he must serve a minimum of 25 years before being eligible for parole. Sarah chose to remain neutral regarding whether her father physically carried out the murder, but acknowledged that he had, at the very least, orchestrated it. In an emotional reflection, she said she forgave him and still maintained a relationship with him. While she continues to love her father, she also works to keep her mother's legacy of compassion, strength, and generosity alive in her own life.